Rugby. No one makes the Lions lose 100 days in a row. And thank you, Cardiff, for being the sacrificial lambs to end our misery. On to that little trifle called the Six Nations Championship. Wales versus France. This was the second acid test for the new and deadly France to see if they are the real deal. Winning away in the Six Nations is real tough, and doing it against a Wales team that knows how to drag you into the mud with them is even tougher. It is really hard to play 5 good games in a row, and France kind of played one of their bad games this week, probably because Wales pulled a World Cup semi-final and refused to play the game anywhere inside their half. If the ball even scraped a blade of grass on their side, they kicked the leather off of it. It certainly made the game less open, but watching those two packs bludgeon each other to bits was still kind of fun. One for the purists, as they say. France's fast start and their ability to score points when in the Wales 22 was the difference. Also, shout out to Talupe Faletau of Wales. The man was pulling out Parise level stops to drag his team into the fight with France. He is, good. Italy versus Scotland. Italy finally played a game where they didn't look totally outclassed, and against a pretty strong Scottish team as well. Scotland still won though, scoring some of the best tries of the tournament along the way. Italy finally found some attacking mojo in themselves and scored a few good tries. Mr. Tandy of Scotland will probably be pretty angry in this week's video review. Let's all raise our hands and give a little bit of our spirit to Italy, in the hopes that it will make them play even better against Wales in the last round. Also, shout out to Timothy Chalamet for scoring a brace of tries on his Italy debut. Between this performance and Dune and Don't Look Up, this guy's range is incredible. England versus Ireland. I always say Ireland funny. Ireland. This was a biggie. Both teams were playing to stay in the hunt for the championship, and the way they were throwing themselves at each other, you could see both teams wanted this badly. Unfortunately for England, in minute 2 no less, lock Charlie Ewells threw himself at James Ryan with the aim of a stormtrooper. This guy somehow managed to hit a 2.03 meter tall lock in the head. In the immortal words of Burgundy, I'm not even mad. It takes some serious skill to miss the entire lower 6 feet of James Ryan and concuss him out of the game and the Ireland squad. What a tackle. 1 red card later and England were playing their balls off to stay in this game, which they did. Unfortunately, the Ireland recycle speed caught up with them in the end, and they were knocked out of the championship running 32-15. I must commend Ellis Genge and Mauro Itoje though. Their names would be the first on my team sheet for this England squad. They are good. Final weekend then, and Wales will be looking for a nice hit out against a slightly improved Italy, maybe. Ireland will want to skin Scotland alive in Dublin, and they might just. Their pack is still very good. Lastly, France could win the whole thing with a grand slam, which means they went unbeaten if they beat England in Paris, which they should. They've scored 14 tries to England's 7, and they've only conceded 6 to England's 9. They are the better team. If France keeps their discipline, they should be able to stop England from scoring. I hope they win. They really do deserve it. And that's that for that. On to some news stuff. A cross-border Erk round finally happened in South Africa, and it was 4 from 4 for the South African teams. It was nice to see the promise of the Erk in South Africa start positively though. Long may it continue. Super Rugby Pacific is still going as well, but COVID is starting to cause some havoc over there. Moana Pacifica has only played 1 out of 3 games, and now it looks like their game against the Highlanders over the weekend might be cancelled as well. The Erk is just now getting back on track after months of disruptions. The SPR might be staring down the same barrel. Spain has qualified for the Rugby World Cup. Isn't that nice? This will be the first time they take part since the Rugby World Cup in 1999. That is a very long time ago, all of a sudden. They beat Portugal in a very good match in front of a very large crowd in Madrid, and the scenes at the end showed you how much this game meant to the Spanish players. My Portuguese wife is still very upset though, which means I'm upset. She really wanted to see Jose Gonzalo Ataide Amaral Pedroso de Lima lead his team out in France. Maybe next time, Leafy. I'm sorry. Lastly, the state of disaster in South Africa has been extended to the 15th of April, so probably no more than 2,000 fans per rugby game for another month. And that's the rugby update for this week. I will see you all next week after the Lions have beaten Munster in Johannesburg. Bye. Never. Squeaky chair.